Nation against nation, brother against brother, men so filled.
Good evening and welcome to Deliverance Church Langata. This is the Biblical Perspective program that comes to you. We appreciate Kingdom TV and any other station, especially the media, the social media platform that air this. And we are open, if you can be able to respond in some of the platforms provided, to ask a question, to make a comment, we are quite open. And with me to record today is Dr. Gershon Mwiti, minister, someone who has been involved in ministry for many years, and he has such a rich legacy in terms of Christian ministry, and also leadership, a trainer in leadership, not just for church leadership, but also corporate leadership, even political leadership. And karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you could be able to come. Now we can greet each other. You know, before we could always do that.
Yeah. COVID
did a lot of, yeah.
It kept us aside.
But anyways, here we are.
Yeah.
We are now, I don't know whether they are counting the number of days towards the election, but we know that elections is getting close by the day.
Yeah.
And we every one of us needs to, our appeal, what I want us to do today is appeal to Kenyans to understand that elections will come and go, but Kenya remains.
Yeah.
Now, when you observe everything that's been going on from where you stand, maybe as an opening remark, you are an elder, you have lived through all the administrations. You and I can still remember the founding fathers' administration.
Yeah.
Because we maybe, some of us were of course younger, you may have been older, but we remember.
Yeah.
Then we remember the Moi administration, which was very protracted.
Yeah.
And the Kibaki administration. And now we have the Uhuru administration that is at the tail head, now counting countdown at 81 days. What, in your very, very honest view, has been your impression about the journey we have come?
In this discussion about what is around us at this time is a question of freedom. Freedom of choice, freedom to make your own decision according to the freedom that you have within your heart. Freedom without being forced or being influenced by money or by tribal-mindedness or anything of that kind. It is freedom which is yours personal to yourself. Yeah. I think that is a cry, and that is what we should hear and go for. Now, we have had in Kenya a very peaceful nation. We've never had really a war or fighting, apart from small things here and there. So we should thank God for that. So we have actually experienced freedom. The area of freedom which we have not acquired as we should is economics. Economics is another issue, and it is centered around the issue of how we spend our time. I have an issue which I've used it in many places, and it is never allow a day end without doing something positive. You should also aim, if you're a young person, aim at ensuring that a day should not end without earning something. Earning something you have earned through working, through production. So make sure that those things are yours personal, and that you should really aim at ensuring at the end of each day you have done something positive to improve Kenya in one way or the other. Imagine the number of young people in our nation who are everywhere, in the city and in the villages. Imagine if all of them were productive, each of them making sure that you have done something in the nation. I tell you, would actually improve our economy faster than we are doing now. So the word that I can use here and say to you who are listening to me is that be wise. The opposite of wise is foolishness.
Yeah.
Foolishness is one of the way that has hindered us from actually being productive. Don't, even if you're earning 10 shillings a day, it is better than earning nothing.
Yeah.
So overcome laziness, overcome ignorance, overcome what I would call here sloth.
Yeah,
Sloth is the laziness of body, mind, and spirit. And this should cover not only the young people, but men, women of all ages, between the best years of a person. That is 25 to 30. Those are the best years of any person. If you can misuse that time, you have lost everything. Because after that, there is an element of growing weaker and weaker and weaker after that. The best years when you can run, you can jump, you can work for 16 hours a day and still wake up the following day feeling as good as you are. So, friends, let us overcome some of these problems. Ignorance, laziness, and fear.
Wow.
Those are 3 words that I want to bring you today. It is fear that makes you vote wrongly.
Right.
You are bribed and therefore you are now a stooge.
Yes.
A stooge is that person who has been influenced to do what you don't like to do in normal time. So, overcoming these 3 evils in our society, ignorance, fear, and sloth. Sloth is actually a technical term that describes the laziness on body, mind, and spirit at the same time. You are lazy physically, you are lazy in your mind, you don't think seriously, and finally, you do not invite your heart in the decisions that you are making. That is inviting God in the decision making you are doing. We are now entering into election. We are already in the electioneering period.
Yeah.
The period between now and the August 9th is so critical that every Kenyan should go back, come to yourself, come to your senses, and say, surely, how am I going to use my vote? Your vote matters.
Yeah.
If you cast it for a wrong person, you have got 5 years of poor and bad leadership.
Right.
If you cast your vote for the right person, somebody you know, somebody who is hardworking, somebody who is for the people, somebody who is wise, somebody who leads, somebody who helps, you are actually creating, you are overcoming that problem of laziness we are talking about. So we begin with you by saying overcome sloth, ignorance, and fear.
All right. I think I really like the way you have summarized it, and I hope that all of you that listen to this program, I really, in every way, agree with you, especially when it comes to the issue of laziness or slothfulness. I am a strong advocate. Actually, right now, I'm writing a book on overcoming spiritual lethargy. And I hope in the next couple of months the book should come out. But I'm writing in the context of what sloth has costed the work of God, not only here but globally.
Yes.
Because you see, when COVID hit, we first, of course, regular meetings were suspended. And after the suspension of these meetings, when now the government started opening for people to come, many Christians had already been accustomed to how they can listen to church programs in the comfort of their homes. So coming to church was such a uphill task. And I remember doing a series of sermons about how to conquer spiritual lethargy. And after that, I said, now, there's so much that I have put together, so why don't I write a book? So I am at a very advanced stage of writing this book. But you see, spiritual lethargy has something to do with physical lethargy. Because you know, they got the same.
Yeah.
And like you're saying about laziness, I usually tell people that laziness is a learned behavior. No one was born lazy.
No.
So if you are a lazy person, consider, let's agree, you chose to be a lazy person.
Yeah.
One of the things I have a very serious struggle with Dr. Mwiti over the years, I guess my parents, the manner in which they dealt with us, never allowed us to be lazy.
Yeah.
Even when going to school, there were certain tasks we were required to do. Growing up, I mean, I didn't grow up to where I enjoyed a lot of luxuries that sometimes people talk about.
Yeah.
But what I can remember of my parents is they made sure none of us was lazy.
Yes.
We were told how to go into the farm and do some, till the land. And even or going to school, sometimes there were situations where we were supposed to take milk to where it is weighed for the dairy farmers. But one thing that is very significant I will never forget is when my mom took some order to deliver vegetables and other produce, farm produce, to Kijabi High School.
Yeah.
And so my brother, older brother, and I were the ones to take those things physically with makeshift things that we used to make and push. And that is what we did for a long time. But I thank God, because that also, you know, I was able now, when also raising my own kids, also ensured that I didn't tolerate any form of behavior where somebody was lazy. And I can tell you without fear of contradiction, when I look at what my kids are doing, all of them, I can say God has been gracious to me, because they apply the principles they saw me apply, and each one of them is now well positioned in their careers, just because of working hard.
Yes.
And in my dissertation, I say that everybody should maximize the opportunity they have to work. And as we go to this election, one of the things that is disappointing right now is the number of young people who have forsaken any other means of gainful living, and they are going out to those rallies to get handouts from politicians. Handouts that are very temporary, because this will only last so long.
Just to interject here, to say that this problem of laziness has its own history.
Yeah.
The Bible says that if you don't work,
don't eat.
Even eating you should not eat. In other words, work actually is life. Work is what gives you food to eat, clothes to wear, and all other things that you do. There is a booklet, it's a small book, many people don't think about it. You can get it in any bookshop, called The Things to Do. It's an exercise book in which each day you list down what you should do that day. It doesn't matter who and where. Just when you wake up, write down at least 2 or 3 things that you'll do that day. That was introduced in America, and that is what makes America what it is today. The things to do. If you want to overcome laziness, just get that book. And every morning when you wake up, just write at least 2 or 3 things that you are going to do that day, and you'll see what will happen. Imagine if every Kenyan is doing that. Actually, I do that myself. When I wake up, actually I do it in the evening. Tomorrow, this is what I'm going to do. As a Christian, you must begin with a prayer. I'm going to begin with a humble, simple devotion in my life. You pray, you read the word, and you're guided by all these documents which are available, like the daily bread and other notes. And that is actually the way to go. Imagine, and I'm using this word deliberately, imagine if every Kenyan woke up each day and write down the things that he is going to do. That is the way of overcoming laziness, overcoming sloth, overcoming fear, and overcoming many things.
Well, when, you know, one of the things that's very important, and that's sort of the concept that we have adopted as a church, is to train people to understand that no one is in this world purposely, without a purpose. You are not purposeless. But how you plan, and I think that's a psychological aspect, that you can wake up in the morning and have a clear plan of this is what I'm going to to accomplish today.
Yes.
Now, when we think about the situation we find ourselves in, now we are in a place in which I think it's Andrew Carnegie, a philanthropist, an industrialist, once said, the average person puts only 25% of their energy and ability in their work. The world takes off its heart to those who put more than 50%. The world stands up on its head for those few far between souls that devote 100%. So can you challenge yourself in view of where you are in terms of your work ethics and the way you dispense your duties?
Yeah.
Because you have to choose to be above average. Don't try to live. You see, one of the most unfortunate things, Dr. Mwiti, we have in this country is that there are people who feel like they have a right than others. And that's why you see, there are people who live as if they look at you and the way you live and they think you owe them. You know, instead of knowing they owe it to themselves. You understand? That they owe it to themselves. Because I usually say, well, as we know, we passed a constitution in 2010, which was promising a lot of things, you know, good sanitary, good housing, good what. But you know, you and I know that even more than 10 years later, we still have people who are living in very, very unhealthy environments.
Situations,
Because, and I keep telling people, the only time government comes to respond is because there's a crisis. Either of drought, or floods, or maybe some form of calamity that has disadvantaged you. That's when now the government will be willing to come around. But other than that, the only responsibility the government has is to create an environment for you to work. And this is very, very important. Now, you know, to become more deliberate in terms of the things that we are dealing with the political season.
Now, if, for example, you go, you attend these rallies that are held by politicians, and you go there for money, which will be given to you. It could be 100 shillings or 200 shillings or whatever. If that is your objective, then you are wrong. The objective should be, I'm going to listen to this person.
What are they offering?
What are they offering? We have to ask them even a question. You should be given opportunity to ask them, what have you done in the past, which could demonstrate and show that you can be our leaders in the future. We should go there not for money, but for confronting this person who is saying that he is available and ready to lead us. We should not just go there for money, but to ask him difficult questions. This actually add value to this other statement I want to share with you now. Many of you have gone through education, primary, secondary, and even university. I want you to challenge you. Effective from now, start reading difficult books. Don't read the simple books which are written by simple people, because they will not help you at all. Go for difficult books. They have got a message for you. They will challenge you, they will correct you, they will build you, and they will empower you. Go for that. Such books helps people to think deep and not lightly. So therefore, even in this matter of politics, if you go there as one who is for the goodness of our nation, you go there and ask difficult questions, which are only available in difficult books. Go to the bookstores and look for a difficult book, which you cannot even understand unless you've got a dictionary in your hand. That is what will teach you new things, better way of doing things. And I believe this will get into your mind and into your heart.
Now, the issue of church leaders or religious leaders, sometimes we are asked by some of the politicians to stay out of politics. But I want to tell everybody to understand nobody should stay out of politics because politics affect us. To the average Kenyan struggling to survive under the present circumstances where unemployment is soaring and prices of commodities going up, there's little time to worry about the state of the nation. And Anderson Mwaroma wrote an article in the Standard addressing this issue. People believe that the destiny of the country is in the hands of the elected leaders, but the reality is different. Corruption has not just become the order of the day, but it's growing. Institutions mandated to monitor and curb corruption are compromised. And the public is no longer having faith in them. Ethnicity is shamelessly being entrenched in public institutions to the extent that whenever vacancies occur, people know the unstated criteria of land. To land the job is one of where you come from. Now the same goes to those awarded lucrative tenders. Impunity is so rampant that even children now know that the law is applied selectively. Now, let's talk about this a little bit. When we talk about the elections that are about to come, there are several things that are very critical I'd like to comment on this before we wrap up this program today. You have come to this program and told the public that the biggest problem we have in this country is having merchant leaders who are innate for the money and for the interest of their material gain. But you've also said that anybody who aspires to go to leadership must understand the philosophy of leadership. Now, the challenge, those people who are going into the politics today, there's one thing that any person who goes into position, even whoever is going to assume the office of the president, the biggest challenge the country is faced with right now is economy. Not just economy, insecurity. Because I remember just yesterday, I was in a meeting for religious leaders. What we call the Dialogue Reference Group. It brings together all religious leaders and all faiths. And there's a statement they released. I did not wait through to release to be part of the statement because I was engaged elsewhere. But some of the things they raised, and I can be able to share them openly, is the concern of insecurity. So can we, instead of these people who are out there politicking, telling people a lot of, castigating each other, hate speech, attacking your opponent, can you tell Kenyans, just tell Kenyans, what are you planning to do to resolve the economic crisis the country is taking? Can you tell Kenyans, how are you going to address the insecurity challenges that people of Laikipia, Baringo, Lamu, Marsabit, and some of these places are still facing? Because we need leaders who do not think that the only way you win is to attack your opponent, but to say, I think I will do better because this is how I'm going to solve this. What do you think about the kind of politics we have today?
Thank you very much for bringing this idea regarding who owns leadership. Leadership has been claimed by two types of people in any country. The lovers of money and pleasure, and those serious men and women who are concerned about the lives of people. That is, their concern is they love their nation and the people in their nation. So if leadership falls under the lovers of money and pleasure, definitely you can rest assured of poverty and insecurity. Insecurity as its origin in feeling that I'm not treated as I should. It is injustices, it's unfairness, and they feel that because this has happened, I've been robbed my rights, whether I'm robbed by my neighbor or by a village or by a location or by a county or a nation. It's that I feel that something belonging to me has gone to someone else. That is where the whole idea of injustices and insecurity originate. Now, above that is these two types of leaders in our leadership. The merchant leaders, these are the lovers of money and pleasure. But among them, there are good ones who can actually help us in our leadership. The other ones are philosophers, the lovers of people and the republic. When the ratio of the two in our elected positions is below or doesn't work the right way, the right way is 70% should be philosophers, lovers of people and the republic. And that percent could be the merchant leaders. When that ratio is upside down, that is the lovers of money are more in the country than the lovers of money, than the philosophers. The war against poverty, the war against insecurity, the war against corruption cannot be won. We can't win it because the lovers of money have their influence. Their concern is money and nothing else.
Right, right. Now, I realize that we are out of time and we need to wrap it up. But Kenyans everywhere, you have an opportunity to evaluate the candidate that you think you're going to give a vote in the month of August, the 9th of August. Is that somebody who is a lover of money and a lover of pressure? Or is it a person who loves people and loves country to the extent that they're willing to go out of the way to come up with strategies of demonstrating that? I've said many times, leadership is a trust between the led and the leader. And I want you to know, if you can be able to change your vote just because of reasonings like tribe or reasoning like party, too bad. Because all you need to do is to evaluate each of the candidates that present themselves and see who is the best person who can be able to who has not, who cannot be said to be just a lover of money and pressure. These are real situations. I want to ask you to pray to close, so we can close this program, but this is a conversation we'll carry on.
Okay. Thank you, Lord, for this beautiful time you have given us here. We believe that our audience, our listeners have heard this. This is a time when the decision can be made to revert the way we are going now to the right way of living in this nation. This is a time when we can